Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Prep for Wave Week. Today is day 2, all about operations. And so you're going to hear about different aspects of running your travel business this week. So yesterday we talked about foundations. Today is operations, actually how you operate your travel business. And it'll go all the way through sales, marketing, and expansion. So I really hope you enjoyed today's series of videos that are coming live and interviews for you. This session is actually about hiring help in your business. And I know it's a buzzword, it's a buzz topic that a lot of people are talking about, but we really want to get into the nitty-gritty details of hiring for help, because sometimes you think you may need to hire help, but you may not be ready just because it's the buzzword and everybody's talking about it. So you want to hire on help. And then there's also different definitions of what help really means in your travel business. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome, Dina Farmer, who wears multiple hats in our industry.
I do. Thank you, Rita, for having me. Hi, I'm Dina Farmer, and I'm owner of Lily and Magnolia Travel, which is a full-service travel agency that helps families with autistic kids travel the world. That's my baby, because I'm also a mom of autistic boys. So something deeply personal to me, and why I pivoted during the pandemic to to focus mostly on this. And then I have a second side hustle to say, and I'm also a virtual assistant thanks to my time in the military, that I also help travel advisors work on their businesses so they can remove some of the stress that's involved with that. So yeah.
Yes, I didn't know that you were also,
Yeah.
you're not in the military, or is it your spouse that's in the military?
I was in the military, but my spouse is currently serving. Yeah, I did like 9 years in the service, and then my husband got a horrible assignment to Hawaii, and there wasn't any openings for me when I joined the Guard, and I said, all right, I guess I'm gonna pull chocks and separate from the Guard. But yeah, I did 7 years active and 2 years in the Air National Guard.
Wow. Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like there's a lot of people in the military that are in our industry.
Mhm.
I think maybe primarily as spouses, but I could be incorrect on that. So did you start your business when you were in the military?
I didn't. No, I
Okay.
did it after, because I mean, honestly, I think you're right, Rita. There is a lot of military spouses that own travel businesses because it's so hard for military spouses. And I'm sure like a lot of people have thrown out tons of numbers, but it's somewhere up to like 80% of military spouses are unemployed. And it's because our spouses move around so much that it's hard to maintain consistent employment, and or people won't hire you because they don't know if you're going to stay in a location for longer than a couple of years. So there's all these things like with, certifications and all that kind of stuff, like it doesn't transfer over to states. And if you go overseas, and of course, you might not necessarily be able to continue your career. So I've noticed that travel and photography seem to be two big careers that military spouses have. So yeah, there's a lot of us.
Interesting. I know this doesn't have too much to do with
Yeah, but
hiring for help, but it's just interesting, like, to get the backstory on that, and like why different people also get into the industry, which I
Mhm.
think can kind of also lead into hiring for help, because clearly we cannot do all the things. And I
No.
think especially with being a military spouse, I feel like there's a certain sense of work-life balance, if we want to call it that, that you have to be supportive to a spouse that has probably a very stressful job, but then you also want to feel like you're contributing, or you have your own goals and long-term dreams that you want to fulfill. But
Right.
then many military spouses also have families, so there's just lots of things to kind of balance in that realm.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the biggest things that I decided to do to like help me maintain some kind of balance was to hire a cleaning company to come and clean my house.
Okay, I was just about to ask, what was the first thing you hired out?
That only because my husband, he works a lot, and then there's like deployments and remote assignments and all these things that go on with that. But on top of that, my both my children are on the autism spectrum, and it's like I literally live in my car, and not figuratively in any sense. Like I'm literally there all the time. So when I'm not working, it's like, gosh, I'm just really tired from like driving around all day. And then I've got work to do for clients and then for other travel advisors. So like I had to cut something. And
Mhm.
the easiest thing to cut was cleaning my house. And I viewed it in a way of like, not only am I like removing a stressful thing for me, but I'm also employing military spouses because that's another job that seems to pop up all the time.
Yay.
So I'm
Okay.
paying another military spouse to come and clean my house. So like I feel like everybody's winning
Right.
in that regard.
And I love that you mentioned that because help doesn't necessarily have to be for business. It can be for
Right.
home, it can be for sanity. I love that you brought up cleaning the house because I know like immediate things that I want to hire out are that somebody to clean my house because it just takes so much time that I could be doing something else. And
Right.
that's why people hire us. They are also hiring travel sellers so that they don't have to spend the time doing all the research. I would much rather spend my time focusing on both of my business's clients than cleaning my house because it's also not a favorite thing for me to do.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just so time consuming. So, like, I would say one of the first things that I hired on was my Roomba vacuum.
Oh, I love it.
So I didn't have to vacuum physically
Yeah.
myself. Just press the button and Roomba goes around.
It makes it so nice because then you hear the little vacuum going around the house. And you're like, it's being efficient and working, and I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
You
Right.
know, just
How did
remembering to empty it out, but that's it.
Yeah, how did you know that it was time to kind of give up the reins of cleaning the house?
I think there's a point where you just feel like, I don't know what to call it, but you just feel so overwhelmed, right? Like you're just like, I don't know what I should be doing first
Mhm.
anymore. And it's like, do I clean my house? Do I like not clean my house? Like, how many more times do I have to order takeout? I'm so exhausted from this laundry pile. Like, it just kept going, like adding on. And I just felt like if I don't make a decision at this breaking point of like, I'm so overwhelmed by making a decision that I'm not going to be able to continue either doing my business or like I'm just going to break.
Mhm.
And there's that moment where I felt like I've got to make a I've got to give myself something so that I'm not feeling so completely overwhelmed. And that was when I was like, okay, I'm going to hire a housekeeper because I can't I can't keep up with all the duties that I have on top of my travel business and my VA business, you know.
I love that you said you were going to give yourself something because
Yeah.
I don't think we think about that because I feel like the big burden that a lot of people think about when they're hiring for help is I have to let something go.
Right, right. Yeah, but I'm giving myself a gift of like, here's a house cleaner and your house smells nice and clean
Yes. And
and freedom.
freedom.
Yes. And all I have to worry about is dishes and laundry. And that's like, something I save for the weekend. So it's way easier to manage than scrubbing toilets.
Right. And I feel like so it's different in the sense that it's not like a full-on assistant or specialized business owner to help you in your business. But how did that transition hiring somebody to even just work at your house or on your house? How did that look? How did that feel? Were there certain, like, was there a gray area before you could completely give the reins up to them?
Not with this house cleaning. It more felt like when after the first time she came and she cleaned my house, it was like a breath of fresh air of like, oh my gosh, I have so much more time to help my clients or to like not feel bad if I feel like dropping my kids off at school or dropping them off at therapy and going because I know we both live in Florida, but going down to the beach and just sitting with a Starbucks cup, like I'm just going to sit here and not feel guilty because my house is clean. I don't have anything to do at home. So this is great. And maybe I might bring my laptop. Who knows? But it was
Yes.
like guilt free because again, like I gave that to myself.
Yes, I love that perspective. You are giving yourself help. You're not letting go of something. So
Yeah.
I would say that that is more of like long-term assistance compared to
Mhm.
other jobs or things that need to be done. That's more on the short term.
Right.
So
Right.
what would you say is the difference between a long-term help and then short-term help?
Well, long term is definitely going to be the house cleaning, right? And that it feels like something that you really don't need to take back. And I feel like I could just live with not having to do that duty for the rest of my life if that would be if I
Hmm.
continue the pattern we're going, as opposed to short term, which is something I have a copywriter that helps me write blog posts, and that, that contract could end anytime, and it wouldn't kill me to lose that copywriter. Like I could still write a blog post, I could still write an email newsletter if I needed to, and it wouldn't, I guess I would say it wouldn't take away from the relief that I'm getting from the long-term help, you know,
Okay.
if
So
that makes
why
sense.
did you hire on the copywriter then?
To get more time.
Was it for a specific project initially, or was it always just to help you with writing?
It was always to help me with writing because um I don't hate writing. I mean, I think all of us do. We get like writer's paralysis and we just stare at the blinking cursor on our screen. Like, I'm going to type something. I just don't know what it's going to be. And
Right.
I felt like the copywriter I hired does really great research. And I feel like that's what I didn't have time to do. And I appreciate that she couples her research with writing like fantastic blog articles and
Hmm.
like outlines for me for emails. So that way I can do my email newsletter that I do just once a month to save time um, for myself and not feel like intense pressure of pumping out content. Um, because this way, not only is she writing like a really like great blog post, but being able to produce content that is sorry, like starting to lose my train of thought, but to produce content that like actually helps my clients out is like big reason. So I love that
Mm.
she is just uh, she relieves me of having to do that well as well. So everything for me personally, it's like if I can give up something that gives me back time, I'll give it out like
Right.
completely because I feel like not only my kids are small, I have an 11-year-old, a fresh 11-year-old and a 5-year-old, and like they're only going to be kids, for so long. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was like, "You have like 7 years left before your oldest is an adult." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that to me." And it's true. I only have 7 years left before he goes off in the world, and then his brother
Right.
is right behind him. So it's like, how can I give out stuff so that I can spend more time with my kids? You
Hmm.
know, because I know we're all travel advisors and like some of us are VAs and we spend a lot of time staring at their laptops and computers. And it's just like, I would like to give away things that make my job, my life, and my time um, easier for me.
Right. Right. How, because I know one of the biggest things that a lot of people, and like even for myself, I'm picky and choosy in the investments because I think help comes in lots of different forms. It's
Mhm.
copywriters, branding strategists, coaching, consulting, templates, memberships, all the like.
All the things.
How, the biggest block, I think, in hiring somebody is one, letting go, but also
Right.
spending the money. So, what made it easier? Or was there something that made it easier knowing that you were spending the money? Or could you see a direct return on investment from spending the money hiring out help?
So for the long-term help, like with the housekeeping, that was definitely like a direct return on my mental health, like of like not being stressed out of like, oh my gosh, not I have all these things that I have to juggle at home, coupled with juggling my business. And then, whatever else the military likes to spring up on us randomly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like taking that away helped me like have, I'm not gonna lie, and I know this is a buzzword right now, but like having more time for self-care and being able to like spend more time with my kids and my family, um, but for the copywriter, I did see a return on investment. Like because of her research and the great blog articles that she's writing for me, it's been bringing me in more clients than before I started when I pivoted. Because I didn't have her after I pivoted right in the middle of the pandemic. Like so crazy because like the pandemic happened, or I should pivoted my business, the pandemic happened, and I was like, I don't know. I guess I'm not working with anybody for a while. But I hired her shortly after the pandemic happened,
Mhm.
and she created posts for me that brought in a lot of traffic onto my website that has led to people hiring me because of the content. And I've heard that in the Travel Joy form that people fill out. I'm like, how did you find out about me? And they're like, oh, it was because we read this post about autism at Disney. And I'm like, well, there we go. Like it's already like complete great job there, copywriter. Like you really brought in a lot of content. I appreciate
Gold
you.
star.
Yes. So yes,
That's
that was worth every
awesome.
penny, every penny. Mm,
That's incredible. Okay, so going more for like on the side where you are a VA, a virtual assistant for travel business owners, when people want to hire you, we don't want to call anybody out or anything, but what are you seeing as the biggest things that need to be set up in order for you to be successful for them?
right. I think that how do I say this? It's like it feels like a lot of advisors that do come to me, they really struggle to relinquish control over every aspect of their business. And that
Mhm.
includes itineraries, which I know is a big thing, but it's also a big time suck of like, how long does it take you to make an itinerary? You know, and I know it, I mean, it takes me a while. Um, but like I think that's the biggest thing is like they have to be in the right mindset to say, I'm drowning and I really need someone to help me. And
Mhm.
if you're not there yet, then it's not going to be a very good working relationship where you have full control of everything and you're micromanaging it to the T, which it makes it difficult for me to give you what you're looking for
Right.
because it's not exactly what you're not really ready for help at that
Right.
point, you know? And I
Right.
think that's the big thing is just saying, I'm just going to trust in the virtual assistant that I hire. And, there's always going to be like I call it the probational period, where we're getting to know each other and getting to like used to working together. But then once we're past that point, then it's like letting go and saying, I'm just going to trust you, Dina, to like make the itineraries. I'm going to trust you to write the newsletter. I'm going to trust you to handle emailing the onboarding for, new clients and stuff like that. Like it's really just relinquishing,
Mhm.
which I know it's hard. I do know. I totally get
Right.
it.
Right. So what, because I also know that there's a difference, and I think I'm going to have a spoiler alert, a podcast
Uh-oh.
episode on this, about the difference between like a virtual assistant and like an online business manager and an operations manager. So what things can virtual assistants help travel business owners, travel sellers
Mhm.
take off their plate? Or what's the easiest things do you think that it's easy for you as a VA to take over that like I, not saying like me personally, but that I as a travel seller might feel most comfortable giving to you immediately and then can build upon later?
Right. So I think the very first thing, especially with the travel advisors I'm working with, they all give me their itineraries first. They're like, here's all the information, dump it into Travify. Because it's Travify is so easy to use, like anybody can learn to use it. And I get those first. I know that everybody has their own ways that they set up the templates, but generally speaking, itineraries are the easiest thing to hand off to, especially when they import and when it works
Mm-hmm.
and Travify. Um, so that is the big one. And then I also get calendar and email management because I know that sometimes it can just be like a big flood of emails and just getting it set up in a way that you only see the important things and you're not looking through like a bazillion different supplier emails.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're important, it's just like sometimes like, okay, Royal Caribbean, like I got it. You guys are doing a flash sale. I
There's
don't need
so
17 emails.
many.
Yeah, yeah,
There's so many.
exactly.
What would you say are certain tech things on the business owner end that makes it easier for that transition to happen, for you just to seamlessly get into their business and start doing things?
So something like having a password manager. So that way I as a VA the only thing I will see is going to be your email address, which of course I would see it like because we're corresponding via email anyway. But having an email, like LastPass is one that I use
Yes.
frequently. And you can easily share your passwords with me. I'll never see them. And having all those passwords into LastPass because that does take a little bit of time to set all the passwords up. And then you just share it with me and I go in and hit launch and I'm able to get into anything that you've shared with me. And I can't change anything as far as that goes. But it's just, I love LastPass. And then all of your software that you already need. Like, you know, if you use an itinerary builder, like please use one because it
Yes.
makes it easier. And like I know that, you know, we're all in our different places in our business, but I feel like an itinerary builder is easier than like using a Google Doc, for example. And while I don't have a problem with doing that, it's just easier for me as a VA, but also for your clients because I have had a history of myself of like sending pages long Google Docs and my clients are like, oh my gosh, I don't like all this scrolling. I would just like to tap, which I get it. And then some kind of CRM because when, I mean, outside of what your host agency already offers, right? I really love Travel Joy and I'm not like promoting them, not getting paid by them or anything,
Right.
but I like how simple it is. And maybe that's the millennial in me. I don't know.
You know,
Like
it's funny that you mentioned that because there's so many. I am also a millennial. I call myself an elder millennial.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. For the early 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot of people who are still just used to like writing things out, pen and paper. I mean, this is my whiteboard that's keeping track of my life right now.
Great.
But I just love the professionalism that a lot of these tools can provide us. Because doing invoices on Excel spreadsheets was not cool.
Yeah. And it's hard to keep, I mean, it's not impossible to keep track of, but it is harder when, you know, there's so many great CRMs out there like Travel Joy or Vacation CRM. I'm not dogging client base. I just don't love it. But there's so many out there that give you those tools that it only makes sense to utilize them, especially if you have a host agency that's requiring you to put in your, you know, your commissions into the CRM, like use it if you don't want to pay for something like Travel Joy. And then it's easy, like for me as a VA to take a little bit of time to get spun up on that CRM. If you needed someone to input like information into CRMs for you, easy.
Right.
You know, and then you don't have to worry about it. You could just go in later and make sure that we did.
Yes. No,
and put it correctly.
I have to agree with you. So I just signed on a marketing client and I have passwords up the wazoo everywhere for all the different logins and things. And I'm like, I'm going to have to get you on LastPass.
Yes.
I think like on the back end of being somebody that people hire out, it's now easier for me to say like, okay, this is the foundational things that I need from you so that I don't have to keep bugging you every couple of minutes or whatever it is to log into something, because that takes your time away from what you need to be doing.
Exactly. I would agree. Sorry, the UPS guy just waved at me.
I was like, who's there?
Yeah, the UPS guy. That was something, you know, that's funny. They were talking about like hiring out stuff. And I also subscribe to like one of those meal services because I'm like, I just need help. Like, and you know, to eliminate like meal planning. I was like, they just bring me my ingredients. I make it 30 minutes or less, easy peasy.
Yes. Yeah, that is something that I have a special diet too. So I actually have personal chef friends and I do some marketing work for them as well. And that I was like, man, the top two is to hire you guys back and to get a house cleaner to take care of all those things. And then I think like for myself, because I do like so much podcasting in both businesses, I really want a podcast editor are the things like the top three on my list. Now kind of thinking like back into travel business and like working with CRMs, I know a big thing about having operations is that you have your own procedures. And I think
Right.
like that's something that I'm also finding with my latest marketing client is that they send out emails like this, and we shouldn't send out 2 emails in a day, and so on and so forth. There's certain rules that you have within your business. Have you encountered like where somebody has like like this is the ABC travel handbook, like when you're taking on a client, which I feel I know what the answer is going to be for that. And well, let's get the answer and then we'll do follow up.
So the answer is yes. But you know, I honestly prefer it when clients have like their SOPs, and some of them
Mhm.
do have them written out, and it's like that's so great that you've written out these SOPs in, you know,
Yay.
thinking about hiring me or hiring somebody else of like this is how we do everything. This is the templates. So I have one, and she has templates in Travefy, and I follow all of her templates in Travefy so that we can produce itineraries that look exactly the same every single time. So it's like, it makes my life easier, right? Because then
Right.
it's not like, well, you said that you wanted it this way, but I did it this way. Is this okay? Like, no back and forth. It's just like follow the template to the T, call it good. And I love that. Like when they have, you know, ways that they do it so that it makes it easier for me instead of, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but guessing like how they want it written out. And I don't think I've had encountered anybody yet that doesn't have the way that they do things and they've handed it to me to say, you know, this is how we do it. I haven't
Mhm.
encountered that yet, thank goodness. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that you say that too, because I was listening to, so if you didn't already know or hear from another session, we're recording these in October. So today's October 25th. I say that because the legal page just came out with a new podcast of her
Mhm.
like top 4 people that she hired. And she had mentioned something about hiring virtual assistants and how much time it took to onboard them.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is why you need to have the SOPs. And I hear that from so many travel advisors that they're like, yeah, I just hired someone on and now I have to train them all. And I'm like, but if you just had things, and I'm guilty of it. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm guilty. I don't have things all written down either.
Right.
But I think that's the baby step. And I think like that's the first step of the whiteboard for me at least was to get all my tasks written down. And then eventually I need to start doing the okay, this is how I like it. Because
Hmm.
that I think reduces the micromanaging as well. Like I have this document, this is how you do it. And I think it just makes it easier for everybody.
Yes. A document, a Loom video, whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
something to just say step by step. First you do this and then you do this. And then it makes, you know, it makes it so much easier for everybody.
Right.
Like templates galore. That's
Yes.
it's very
Oh, the
perfect.
templates all day,
Yes.
every day.
Yes. But just getting to that point of like, before you start looking, I feel like before you start looking to hire someone, definitely starting by like writing down all your processes and, you know, in a clear manner or having videos that you've made. That way, when it's time to hire that person, then the onboarding process can hopefully be less than a week
Yes.
than months, you know.
Yes. I was talking to, I believe she's an accountability coach or consultant who I'm also
Mhm.
hoping to have on the podcast soon. And she was telling me to do like a time audit of myself, like just go take out a week and do a time audit of all the things. Because I don't think we, in general, as business owners, no matter what we're doing, fully understand everything that we're doing. Because sending an
Mhm.
invoice can seem like nothing, but how long does it take you to put together an invoice and all the details? And how long did it take you to create the template for the invoice? There's a lot of time that goes into it. It's not just okay, I
Yeah,
sent it out.
right. Yeah, that's true. It's definitely a process no matter what, you know, and then it's subjective to CRM and you know, how you if you still use an Excel spreadsheet and all
Yeah.
the things. It's definitely a process.
Yep. Yep. Well, how can people reach out to you or stay in touch with you, either to see how you're doing in your travel business or to hire you for some VA work in the future?
Yeah, so I hang out on Instagram because I'm a millennial. I think that's where we're at. I'm not Gen Z, nowhere near that. I don't hang out on TikTok,
No
but I'm
TikTok.
mostly on, I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and it's Lily and Magnolia Travel for both Facebook and Instagram. And my web address is www.lilyandmagnoliatravel.com. And then for the VA side, I'm the Travel VA on Instagram. I think I'm the only handle with that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and
Thank
sharing
you.
all the ways we can hire help and how to set that up for whenever we are ready in our businesses to do so.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me today. It's been so much fun. And we were talking about House of the Dragon earlier. So if we talk
I
about it,
know.
we'll
Oh,
talk about it
goodness.
more, I'm sure, when when this is over.
Yes, I was going to say as soon as I hit stop, which I'm heading that way, everybody. So thank you for tuning in today on this session on hiring help. Remember, if you did purchase a study hall pass upgrade, I will see you from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time during our co-working hour. So again, thank you. There are a couple more videos for you to watch on Operations Day if you haven't already seen that. And I'll see you later. Bye.